Welcome, newcomers and true believers alike. This is the Countdown to Doomsday, an MCU watch-along podcast packed to the brim with thrills and chills, twists and turns, and more supervillains than you can shake a toy train set at. I'm your host, Jake, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host, the insect's number one enemy, Sammy.
Hi.
What's wrong? What are you looking at?
I'm trying to find where you are.
Oh, hang on. I got to press the left button on the suit.
Wow.
Hello.
Hi.
That's my one trick that I didn't realize was Ant-Man coded until 10 minutes before I start this video.
Oh, that was killing me. My insides are like, if I can do this, I'm a professional.
Yeah. But hi, welcome, Sammy. How you
Hi.
doing?
I'm
Everyone
good.
good? We had
Good,
some
good.
big news this past fortnight, I guess, is what we have in
Yeah,
between the shows.
yeah. It's a shame that it was the week we don't record that everything all kicked off. But hey,
Yeah.
doesn't mean we can't talk about it now.
And it's had some time to settle. So, not that we found much more out, but it's not like we're all crazy about stuff.
No. So I tell you what, I'll do the disclaimer and get that out of the way with, and then we can do our talk about the big
Do
news
it.
and then continue the countdown to Doomsday. Sure. Everything discussed in today's episode is our opinions and our opinions alone. If you'd like to discuss anything from today's episode, please come and join us in the Facebook group. You can join us in the Discord or the comment section where we can have an open discussion. But what we won't have is anyone coming for us and telling us our opinions are wrong because we can all agree to disagree in fandom. So let's keep it fun, keep it kind, and keep the toxic behavior out of nerdism.
Excelsior. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you. What a time.
Oh
What a time.
boy.
What I gotta admit, that was one of the cleverest things the Russo brothers have probably come up with
Yeah,
to get people's attention.
especially for internet like style marketing. If people don't know, they had this very long live stream that was a very slow panning shot that started to reveal actors like director chairs, like your classic movie chair
Yeah.
set things. And yeah, it started to reveal the actors. I didn't watch all of it. I caught some of it on TikTok, but I saw all you guys dropping what was happening. Like,
Yeah. I watched it all, 4.5 hours of it.
what were the comments like? Were they just people going nuts?
At first, it was like, what the F? Don't know
Yeah,
what's going on here. This is a bit of a waste of time. But then as this it started, people started to get the timings, like it was every 15 minutes, and then it was kind of like
yeah,
guessing who the next one was, and it's gonna drop anytime soon. And it was like this brilliant build up, this brilliant hype, and it feels like we're in the end game time again. Like this is where where Endgame was like this big massive hype up, and it's the Russo brothers they did a really good job. It was fantastic, and also they were across what, two, maybe three platforms, and
yeah.
the numbers that they were pulling.
I bet if even if they weren't on platforms, I'm sure people live streamed them, like bounced
Yeah,
it around on their own
but
feeds to everywhere.
there was sometimes I had to jump off my phone because I was at work.
Yeah,
But there was the Avengers official Instagram post. As a minute the chair went up, they were putting it up straight
yeah,
away. So you weren't missing a thing.
yeah.
It was phenomenal.
So this is our first confirmed cast list for Avengers Doomsday. It's by no means final. There isn't really any side characters
Mm,
announced. There's always regular humans and people. So it's by no means a full cast list. I'm sure it's like
no,
it's
I
just
don't
the
think it
big
is.
names. It's the first big names. Um, and also we don't know if this is like, is this going to be like a first parter? Probably. And then
Mm,
we'll get even more different characters and like,
yeah,
the Secret Wars stuff, I think. Or is that which one's secret?
we don't. The thing is, we've
Yeah.
been given a list of people. We don't know where they place in this. We don't know how they fit in this.
Yeah.
But
Could
it's
be
going to
one
certainly,
second, could be the entire runtime, as far as like nobody
yeah,
knows.
absolutely. Because
I'll
it's
do a quick rundown.
go, you go.
um, Do I say character names as well? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I'll do it. Okay, Robert Downey Jr., Victor Von Doom. It says on IMDb, so that means it's not Tony Stark variant. It says Victor Von Doom right there. Pedro Pascal, Reed Richards, Chris Hemsworth, Thor, Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm, Anthony Mackie, Sam Wilson, Sebastian Stan, Bucky Barnes, Eben Moss Backrack, Ben Grimm. He's awesome. Simu, is it Liu, who is Shang-Chi? Florence Pugh, Lewis Pullman, that's Sentry.
Yeah, this is Thunderbolts. Get ready for Thunderbolts, people.
Yeah, so
Country's gonna be huge.
we haven't seen that yet. Winston Duke, who's M'Baku, who is awesome. So I'm glad he's
Amazing.
back. Tom Hiddleston, Loki, Patrick Stewart, Professor Charles Xavier, which we knew he'd been mentioned by Beast, who's also on this list.
Kelsey
Um,
Grammer.
yeah, but Rebecca Romaine, is it?
Romaine.
Romaine, Mystique, Joseph Quinn, Johnny Storm, James Marsden, Scott Summers, which is hilarious because he
Let's get it.
exploded.
Oh no, redemption for Cyclops.
Paul Rudd, the Ant Man, yeah, we like him. Hannah John Kamen, who's Ghost, who I think we've
Thunderbolts.
seen. Yeah. Channing Tatum, Gambit, David Harbour, Red Guardian, Alan Cumming, Kurt Wagner,
Yes.
Nightcrawler, Wyatt Russell, U.S. Agent, Ian McKellen, Magneto, Kelsey Grammer, as I mentioned before, is Hank McCoy, Beast, Danny Ramirez, who's Falcon. So that's like the second Falcon. That's fun. He's coming back. Letitia Wright, Shuri, and who is this? Tenoch Huerta, Namor.
Nemo.
Yeah.
My Nemo, but
Um,
Nemo.
and we've got, as always, executive producer of everything, Louis Despacito,
Louis
and Kevin
Despacito
Feige,
Jr.
and the Russos, obviously.
It's obviously got a lot of people talking. We have original X-Men cast.
Yeah.
We have a variant in there of the next man with Gambit. We don't know
Yeah,
where,
yeah.
because Gambit is a we don't know where he fits into anything because he never really existed in anything.
Yeah,
Um
yeah, yeah.
so that's interesting. We've got Avengers, we've got the Black Panther, we've got
The Thunderbolts.
the Thunderbolts are in there.
The
And
F4.
Fantastic Four's in there. So it's a lot of people and groups. It's where how is it all gonna fit in?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm wondering, is it literally going to be like, oh, like how they do it in Marvel, where everyone gets pulled out of like their place,
Yeah,
to go to a big like super fight, or is it going to be actually set in the real world where people are going around? But then
I think
the
we're gonna get
Professor
some.
X from the Marvels, which we haven't got to yet, that's a different universe that Rambo goes to by
Yeah.
accident at the end. So we're gonna have to cross some universes to get this all going.
I think it's going to be very much like, and I think it was Secret Invasion in 2015, where Sue Storm literally created this like this thing where she ended the multiverse, and there was just
Yeah,
one universe.
possibly. That could be the only way to get rid of Galactus. But Marvel superfans will know that Galactus technically exists in all of the multiverses, as in not as a variant, just him.
He
he
is all
he
compassing.
he transcends. He doesn't care about the multiverse. He's just
Uh-uh.
in everything.
No, no. I think more questions will come once we've
Yeah,
seen Fantastic Four. I don't think we're
yeah,
getting answers. I think there's just going to be more questions. The groundwork is certainly being laid.
yeah.
It's an exciting time for Marvel. It's something we've been missing for a very, very long time.
I think like the best thing as well is it confirms fully that the Fantastic Four are here to stay and
Hmm.
will be playing a part, because although Doom is their bad guy, the historically we hadn't really had confirmation like how it's going to work.
Hmm.
And this kind of lets us know that nobody's gonna die, in the Fantastic Four movie and like explode or anything, which is nice because we
Yeah,
need our full teams, at full power because
we
that's
do.
what we like to see.
I don't mind a beating now and again, but
Yeah.
they've got to be able to come back. There's
Doom
got
is
to
going to kick all of these guys' asses for sure because we need a new big bad. So they're going to have to do the Infinity War Thanos thing.
we
He's going
need
to go
something
over
bigger than
strong.
Thanos.
Yeah,
And who's bigger than Thanos is Doom. Thanos
he is. The
Thanos
movie
had
fans. Sorry, yeah,
Thanos. No, I was just gonna say Thanos had like just a little.
yeah,
There was he was 50. He was always 50-50.
yeah,
Doom's
yeah.
not, and that's terrifying.
And like the movie fans haven't seen a full powered Doom yet, who's on this kind of level, because they've always shied away from the like mystical elements and
Yeah,
stuff. Because he's kind of got all of the powers, like the super science and the mysticism, all like
he's
working together.
he's one smart mofo.
Yeah, and that too. Yeah, super super
Yeah,
smart.
it's just gonna be. It's an exciting time, and I know people were very Oh, they could have done that in about 5 minutes. They could have, but I tell you what, the anticipation, the build up, the hype. That's what we are missing, and that's what we need when it comes
Yeah,
down to our superhero movies. We need to have that hype, to have them
yeah.
conversations, to get excited about something.
It just makes your mind go crazy, like who could be in the next part and stuff, like
Yeah,
like could we get like insane stuff like, oh, it's like Deadpool, Ghost Rider, and Wolverine coming in to save the like.
exactly. So we've got the original X-Men. Are we
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
have the new cast X-Men in the next one? Are they
And
gonna be wiped out to them replacing?
like I just want to say, as a fan of practical effects, I liked Kelsey Grammer's Beast, but now we can have Kelsey Grammer's voice do an action as Beast. We haven't seen Beast do any action for so many years.
I, I have my issues with Kelsey Grammer as a person,
Oh
but
yeah, he's very strange because he's a rich Hollywood man. So yeah, he's gonna be strange.
I can't even believe this is what I'm going to reference it off. But I once watched a series of Housewives,
Uh-huh.
the Beverly Hills Housewives.
Yeah, yeah,
His wife Camille, who basically was his manager, his wife, his everything, she did everything for him in his
yeah,
career. The reason he gets these big jobs is because of her. He has
yeah.
an affair and flaunts it on and is absolutely so nonchalant about it. He is horrible
Mm.
to her.
I can make you feel better because there's footage of him falling off a stage
Amazing.
mid-sentence, when he's just like,
Amazing.
the best part about it as well as he says, "Oh, good lord!" like Frasier when he
But
falls.
it's a double-edged sword when it comes to him because I have them feelings to him because of how he treated his wife.
But he's a
I
character also. Yeah,
Exactly. And
yeah.
he's been in my life for as long as I can remember. Like my
Mm.
namesake comes from a show that he was in. Like so I want to see him do Beast.
Yeah,
I don't want to say Nicholas Hoult was terrible because I really like Nicholas Hoult as an actor. I thought
yeah,
he was
yeah.
really good as a young Beast, but I want to see that
I like
through
old
Kelsey
Beast.
Grammer.
Beast
Yeah.
should be 20 to 30 years older than me at all times.
Yeah. And also having Alan Cummins coming back
He's
as
so cute, man. His
did you
Nightcrawler is so endearing.
did you see him, did you see his video he put out the day before
Yeah.
this happened where he was crawling across the floor going, what if? And then
Cheeky.
it comes out he is.
There was a couple of people who apparently got blindsided by this information. I
Yeah.
think the Shang-Chi guy was like, okay, this is the first time hearing about it, but yay.
Hey,
Another job.
yeah, that's just the Marvel taking the red dots, off him because they
Yeah.
have them like, ready to go if they start letting their mouths go.
Yeah.
Loose lips sink ships.
And again,
I can't wait to see more Shang-Chi.
we haven't like got there in our watch along yet, but there was like Shang-Chi at the end of movies and series where he was part of like, the team of organizers, with like
Mhm.
Carol Danvers and stuff, and who's the Wong, the Sorcerer Supreme. So
Yeah,
he's in and around, in the mystical part. So yeah, we expected him back, but that's fun.
but there's names that haven't been obviously mentioned. The likes of Doctor Strange,
Mhm.
and which for me, Strange has to be here because
Yeah,
every time I have read a Marvel team up, Strange is always there in the background.
they
Like he's
go to Strange
yeah,
when they have a
yeah,
magical problem every time.
exactly. So Strange needs to be there. There was one name I really thought was going to be said, and I'm still holding out hope that he's going to be there, which is Chris Evans's Captain America.
He's the one missing,
I,
technically.
don't get
Well,
us wrong, we've got a lot of love on this podcast for Sam as
yeah.
Captain America. We
Oh
really do.
yeah.
But I need the OG back. If
Well,
Doom's coming, we need the OG.
yeah, like I technically see them as fulfilling different roles, really. Like
Hmm.
like Sam's amazing in his own right. So I'm happy he's there because he's like a sort of more chaotic and fun version of Captain America who still, has like his morals and stuff. But
The value is still there. They both hold the same value as both being
yeah,
veterans.
but they do it
But
differently, and I like that.
yeah, the two very separate,
Yeah.
two very different people in two very different wars.
And I really came to like the new Falcon as well, like over the
He's a
course of that
little
new
cheeky
movie.
Tommy, isn't he? I like
He's great.
him. I really enjoyed him. Um, Falcon is actually in this movie we're talking about today.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yes, he does. He shows up, little
When he
cameo.
came on the screen, I was like, "Oh, Sam!"
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like they've done good work over the years, and like he's actually became like when he shows up, he's the guy where you're like, oh, it's Sam.
Um,
Everyone loves a Sam.
fun, fun fact. I actually work with someone with the same name, and it wasn't.
Yes.
Bearing in mind, I have worked with this person for 20 years. We are on
Yeah.
the same team together. We do the same work. We're very close. Wasn't until last week I realized what her name was. And I was like, oh my God, you're Captain America.
Well, one of them, yes.
Yeah. So I now know Sam Wilson, Theresa May, and Emma Thompson.
That's fun. You're just
Yay!
collecting them.
I
But
am.
yeah, we're here to talk about Ant-Man, which is an interesting movie. It's came out in 2015. It's the end of phase two, technically.
Technically.
Um, leads almost directly into Civil War, into the middle of Civil War, which is an interesting part. Um,
Yeah.
but
It's already happening.
yeah, it's an odd thing I would think to end a phase on. But it's okay because they were gearing up to like go crazy in the next phase. So,
Yeah, and
they
I don't
started
see it that
big.
way because this movie is exactly the blueprint
Mhm.
of the first one. It's Iron Man. And
Yeah.
somebody, sad enough, and I do actually have the notes on this, went through and picked out every bit that references each movie, being exactly the same. But I've always been happy with the fact that Marvel had a brilliant blueprint for their
Mhm.
origin story, even if it was very similar to the first one. Because
Yeah.
there's Iron Man, Doctor Strange. They're all the same kind of thing.
I like origin stories. I think I've talked on like the Nerdy Up North podcast before about really liking, A New Hope because
Yeah.
I like the introduction into a series. Like
Yeah.
if it's a new universe, I have no idea about. Like it's just comforting, I think. And
Oh,
when I watched
absolutely.
when I watched this, I didn't have much idea about what Ant-Man is or does. I was more familiar with the DC counterpart, which I think is the Atom. I think it's
Mm.
called, where he's like the blue guy who does the shrink thing.
Yes, yes. I only know him from Legends of Tomorrow. I think
Yes, yeah,
Superman played him.
yeah, yeah. But that's effectively like that. That's accurate as far as I was aware from like watching cartoons and stuff. Um, so yeah, shrinking character is fun. You can do lots of fun stuff with
You
it, as we
can.
see in this movie.
Um,
Did you know much about Ant-Man like when you got to this?
yes.
Yeah,
So I was what? It's 2015. I'm like a year into my comic book.
yeah, super fandom.
Yeah, exactly. So Hank Pym becomes a very known name to me, especially being the head of the Avengers and all of the controversy that follows his character.
He likes
Um,
to slap the women,
well, this
apparently.
is this is half the reason that he doesn't. he isn't the main person, is because
Yeah.
they didn't want to go down that route, and this is why they went with Scott. Back in 2015, I was writing for a American-based nerdy website,
Yeah.
Nerdfeed, and I did comic book movies and comic books, and I actually have my article in front of me from 2015 that I
Yeah.
wrote for the review for this. But it also has a caption on here. This is just me in general doing redactions. I've been doing this since 2015 because I have a snippet from another review I did just before this came out
Yeah.
saying, I can't get excited about a guy who can turn into the size of an ant. I'm sorry, you guys, it doesn't interest me. But I have said this previously that if this movie is good, I will hold my hands up and say I was wrong. I even have it dated. 22nd of February 2015, I wrote that. And my article just starts with, where do I start? What can I say?
I like Ant-Man
It just especially I'd like to hold my hands up and say very loudly, I was wrong. Um
now.
so that was my article. So because I knew Hank and I couldn't wrap my head around, but also it was confusing to me as someone who was going through this Marvel journey that that he hadn't even been mentioned in the first place. So
Yeah, that part is a little they probably could have done some work on that like in the
well,
past, like in
well,
another Captain America or something.
well, this is why I've got the details of the development,
Yeah,
and half the reason. So let me start from the beginning.
go for it.
So the development of Ant-Man is actually being laid out in the 1980s. That's how early
Oh,
Ant.
it's one of those ones where they've
It's
been
one
wanting
of
to
those
make it
ones.
for years.
Stan Lee had actually pitched the idea to New World's Pictures, Marvel Comics parent company, um, the idea of Ant-Man. However, what was happening in the 80s, at the end of the 80s? What big movie was coming out that is exactly kind of the same idea as this?
Oh, what, like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and stuff.
Exactly. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was coming out, and Disney went, no, sorry, we're going to go with this one.
Rick
And
Moranis is the Ant-Man, damn it.
so Stan didn't pursue it, he just left it.
Yeah,
But in 2000, dickhead radio talk show host Howard Stern
yeah.
met up with Marvel to actually buy the rights to Ant-Man.
No. Why did they
No,
sell it to him?
but in May that year, the deal went ahead for Marvel to start distributing their own shit.
Yes, yeah.
Ant-Man was on the slate, so he couldn't buy it.
Good.
In 2003, now this blew my mind, and the minute I saw their names, I went, you've got to be shitting me. Edgar Wright and Joe Cornish.
Yeah.
Now, Joe Cornish and his partner, Adam, can't think of his surname right now because I can't see it, um, is Adam and Joe
I was
from
gonna
the Adam
say,
and
yeah,
Joe show.
Adam and Joe. Yeah, I used to
From the,
watch
from,
that.
from the Adam and Joe show. Yeah. They are a huge part in this. They wrote this. They got together and they wrote a treatment, and this is where they wanted to introduce Scott Lang
Yeah,
because they didn't want to go down. This is where because they didn't want to go down the route of Hank being the person,
yeah. It's a bit old fashioned, isn't it?
but
Like,
they wanted to introduce Scott differently. And
yeah,
this is where creative differences start to come into play, especially Edgar Wright. They wanted to introduce Ant-Man as soon as the end of Avengers. They
yeah,
wanted him so they could bring him into Age of Ultron. And Edgar Wright was like, no, I don't want that. I want something completely different.
get him
And
out of there.
yeah,
You
it
can't
was
go
Edgar
near
Wright.
Ultron.
Edgar Wright was more than happy to walk away from this because Scott Pilgrim versus the World came up, and
Yeah,
he had complete control over that. And I get it to a degree, but if this was just a singularity thing where we're just doing one movie and it doesn't matter, then fine. But it's not. This is a world building thing. This is
yeah,
this is something that's not being done. Like Feige is trying to create a world within all these movies to all kind of coincide and to mean something and to link. So you can't be just the man of the hour, can't just be all about you. And Edgar Wright,
yeah.
as much as I love Edgar Wright, he was kind of heading towards that way of working. So they cut their ties. It was the director who ends up coming in, which is Peyton Reed,
Mhm.
um, who he lobbied for it. Really, he would do anything, absolutely
Yeah.
anything. He was happy to come in.
I think this
Um,
is a good fit for him though. Like, it's
yeah,
yeah,
but this was all announced. San Diego Comic Con 2011. This was all announced. Ant-Man was part of Phase One.
the roadmap.
Yeah, and it just never kind of came to full fruition
Yeah.
because Edgar Wright kept changing the goalposts
I've
basically.
never I've never thought about that because I'm not the kind of person who gives a lot of like sympathy to what the companies are doing, if you know what I mean. When I'm like,
Yeah,
just make
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 the
the
movie.
movies. I'm not thinking like, oh, I feel bad for like Disney because this didn't work out. But thinking about it, it must be a logistical nightmare to be like, okay, I want this movie to come out. You need to write it by this date because you need to include scenes from this movie. It has to lead this movie. If it's not finished by this date, we're screwed. And it's like,
Yeah,
how do you organize that?
yeah. Well, the final straw I think was Joss Whedon wanting to have Hank Pym being Ultron's creator.
Yeah, that is true, isn't it, from the comics point of view? Yeah.
Um, yeah, it where
I
does
think
Hank
I think
come?
I saw some Reddit speak about that being like, I think that Tony's Ultron
Actually,
is superior.
Edgar said in an interview, Ultron was never part of the story of Ant Man. Just sort of a setup. What Ant Man does enough for one. I don't actually know.
Yeah, to be honest with you, like there's very little mention of anything prior, apart from he does say like, the Avengers are too busy on the dropping a city or something like that.
Yeah,
Like that's kind of it.
yeah. It's Adam McKay who is Joe's writing partner, and it's
Yeah.
Adam McKay you want to thank for Falcon being in this because he's a
Okay.
huge Falcon fan,
Well,
and he
again, I liked the
understands.
show back in the day, so thank you for entertaining me
Well,
on random Friday nights when I
once
was a teen.
once Edgar leaves, it actually goes into the hands of Peyton Reed,
Yeah.
Joe Cornish, Adam McKay, and Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd
Yeah,
plays
yeah.
a huge part in this, which I absolutely love. I love when an actor gets involved with their character and really does their fucking homework. So yeah, this is their creation, this is their baby. Um, but there is a lot of Edgar still in there. He hasn't
Yeah,
gone
yeah.
away.
Yeah, you can tell, like, especially the talking sort of directly to the camera stuff and like the cutaways and things like that.
Well, Lewis's, fast talk and pitch that he does, and
Yeah.
that's all Edgar Wright.
Yeah, like it's when they're explaining how to like survive the zombies. It's the same kind of scene, isn't it? Like where it's like narration over a montage that
Yeah,
we don't see actually happen.
no, no. So that's the kind of production of Ant-Man. It's been going since the 80s, which is very similar to Thor.
Yeah.
Like obviously these IPs have not been, just sat there waiting for this to happen. They've
No.
they've been on a bit of a journey.
We've got that alternate dimension where they made all these movies too early, and who knows what we would have ended up with.
Imagine.
We might not have to imagine if they go like crazy on the multiverse.
Yeah,
They
that's
might
true.
bring in like Arnold Schwarzenegger, Thor, and like Triple H,
Oh my
Captain
God, imagine if they
America
did
and
the
stuff.
Triple H one. That'd be amazing.
You're
That's
damn right,
probably
it's
my
amazing.
most favorite fact I have ever found out because you didn't know it.
It just keeps bouncing back into my brain every now and then,
The Triple H could have been.
like a jump scare.
Um, what did you think of the casting of Paul Rudd as Scott Lang?
I love Paul Rudd and think he can do no wrong.
Did
So,
you think he could do superhero though? There's because he
I
can.
know I wouldn't have thought. I would never have guessed that he could muscle man himself up for this because
He
he's
did.
like he's cut in this movie
Yeah,
when
he
he's tending his wound.
he worked. He worked
Yeah,
hard.
because
But he
I
didn't
just knew
have
him as
to.
crap bag and the I love you man. But those
Oh
characters are
God, he's
great.
he's been quite a few things to me. Clueless.
Yeah.
Um, oh, there's another one he does with Jennifer Aniston. I absolutely love it. And I
Yeah,
can't remember what the
first
name of
name
it
crap,
called.
last name bang. Legendary
I
line.
forget completely that he is in Friends, by the way. It always seems to slip my mind. Uh,
Yeah, because they kind of keep him a side character, but yeah, he's very good. He's in a lot
oh,
of
Mike, he's
episodes when you think
brilliant.
about it.
And the man never ages. He's just, and he has such a great sense of humor. I always remember when he did the Nerdist podcast with Chris
Yeah.
Hardwick. Chris Hardwick just lost his dad, and as he walks in and sits down, he shakes his hand and goes, "Welcome to the Dead Dad Club." And the
Oh
parents
yeah.
just fall over laughing, and it completely like breaks the
Yeah.
tension. He's just
He would
he's
be
so
he's
perfect.
up there in the list of like guys I would want to hang out with from Marvel. Like there's a few I
Yeah,
don't think I could tolerate in real life. But Paul Rudd's up there, like top of
yeah.
the list.
To be honest, this movie is just cast perfectly. I even
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
mind Eva I can't even say her name. Evangeline Lilly. I don't even mind her as Hope.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think everyone plays the part like ridiculously well, considering it's not like a well-known property to base your
No,
performances on and stuff like that, you know?
no, but I think getting Paul Rudd, the likes of Paul Rudd and Michael Douglas blows me away in this movie.
I can't
Anytime,
believe he did it. You know, like he's one of them actors where I'm like, if
yeah,
truly when they told him he like threw the script away
well,
at
it's like
some
it's
point.
exactly the same reason Robert Redford did Winter
Right.
Soldier. It's
Yeah,
for his
yeah.
kids. It's something to leave
Yeah.
behind for his kids and for his kids to look at him and go, "Dad, you're so cool." Because he's not Michael Douglas to them. He's just
No.
dad.
Yeah, and it's an interesting performance on him because it's very angry, but like then very like fatherly at the same time. So
he
it's
goes,
good.
he goes through some changes.
Yeah, he's a big liar though. He likes to keep secrets.
The opening scene of this movie
It's
is
nuts, isn't it?
it's
Like
brilliant.
I totally forgot about it. Yeah, so I will get into it. So we get
Yeah.
a very cold open where it just flashes up like 1989 on the screen, and there's no Marvel intro or anything until
Nope.
like after this.
We're just in it. The year my sister was born.
Yeah, I was 1 year old when Hank was
Shut
slamming
up, Jake.
dudes' faces into the desk, apparently.
Wow. The de-aging that they did on this is top notch.
It's a little bit the hang on it a little bit too much, I think. There's a
Maybe,
couple of moments where it's like, okay, if you switch the angle, it might have been a bit better.
yeah, maybe just a little bit, but it's
It's
still
cool though.
for 2015.
Yeah.
This is good. We've seen some terrible jobs done
Oh
later
God,
on.
yeah. Terrible done by Disney, like on poor Mark Hamill, where he looked like a monster.
Yeah. Carrie Fisher, who looked like a spoon.
Oh
So
God, yeah, I forgot about that one.
yeah, so be grateful for that. We got a very
Yeah.
sleek looking Michael Douglas, an aged up
Mhm.
Haley Atwell as Peggy
Yeah.
Carter. Um,
Yeah, I think that was makeup though. It looked like
oh
it.
yeah, she wasn't touched by any computer.
I was excited to
Um,
see her because I totally forgot she was in that scene.
it leads in lovely though, because it's like obviously the next films are going to be leading up to
Yeah,
Peggy go.
yeah, and we've already seen her in the hospital bed. Like a couple
Yeah,
more decades after this, I guess, three or
yeah.
four.
What
But
I
yeah, so
found.
the
Oh,
sorry.
sorry. I was just going to say what I found hilarious is the other guy who is not Howard Stark,
Uh-huh.
but doesn't age a day.
Oh yeah, the stuffy Hydra man.
He was clearly taking something touched by the gods because he looked no different in 1989 than he did in 2015.
Yeah, and it's a very like silly movie thing where like the first thing Pym says to him when he meets him in the present day is like, "How's your nose?" Like you would have forgotten by now.
Yeah, it's like the
Like
first thing he said.
89.
I love the fact that I really would love to see, and I always call him Roger Sterling because that's how I
Uh,
know him from in Mad Men. I know that's not his name,
that's all
but
right.
the guy who plays Howard Stark,
Yeah.
I love him so much.
Yeah.
I would
So
love to have seen more of him.
yeah, so he's aged up as well with gray hair and stuff. But yeah, so the setup for the scene
No,
is
that's just what
Hank.
he looks like.
Yeah, yeah. But like I think the last time we saw him was a portrait of the founders of Shield, and he was like
Yeah,
he was brown hair
you
in
know, but
that.
the next movie, Civil War.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! So the two people we see at the beginning of this movie. The demise happens or we see it in Civil War.
Yeah.
Fuck. Oh,
Phase 3.
hits a nerve.
Yeah, so the setup of this is Hank's mad because he finds out they've been trying to recreate his Pym particle.
Yeah.
Because he's the only guy who can figure out shrinking. Apparently, it's really complicated and
I mean, I can't do it. Can you?
no, no, everyone turns into goo. You see it a lot in this movie.
Oh, I don't like that. That was a bit icky. I was like,
Yeah,
ew.
yeah, for sure. There's definitely some gross out scenes in this one, a little bit
Mm,
more than other ones, but it's probably because we're trying to go all in on the comedy. But
yeah.
yeah, there's a very pointed line here where he's like, I'll never give you my formula. Like, I'm quitting. And then, like, the guy's like, if only you'd protected Janet with such ferocity. And that's when he slams
Bitch.
his head in the desk.
He deserved it. And I love Howard when he's like, you're just gonna let him walk out, and he was like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause it's kind of like, I think Peggy says it, but it's sort of you know, or maybe it's not Peggy, but it's like, if we don't let him go, it's going to start a war sort of thing.
You don't want to start a war with Hank Pym.
Yeah.
And Howard Stark's along. He's like, I know this man. I know his integrity. He is not a security risk.
And he's not lying, he means what he says, that
Yeah.
that he's out, basically.
And I love that. I love the fact that Howard and him have a history
Yeah,
and
it's a
there's
little
trust there.
it's a little, like I say, it is a bit odd that they've never mentioned him as like a little mini cameo sort of mention. Like, they've done that before with like, you know, mentioning scientists every now and then. It's a little
Yeah.
odd that forgot or couldn't fit it in for like Captain America 1 or anything, like a random flashback, just saying like, oh, Pym's, causing a
Just
ruckus
something.
again.
There's something there. Because
Yeah.
obviously he's at Shield. We know this when we get to Endgame because they
Yeah.
go
And
we have to
like,
go through that again.
and we get to see some footage where it's like he was a tiny man on the battlefield. He was actually, doing active like combat tests and stuff like that.
Yeah. It was
Saving the
good
world from
but
missiles.
it was good to kind of get an idea if you were not an Ant-Man fan, and
Yeah.
every time I say ant I get an itch in my rib. Yeah, if you were not an Ant-Man fan, this gives you a very quick, well, this is what he can do.
Yeah.
And we don't
Yeah.
need to ask any more questions. And we just kind of go with it from now on.
Yeah, there's a few explanations, but yeah, you get everything you sort of need to know.
Pretty
Apart
quickly,
from
pretty
apart
easy.
from how does the quantum realm work? But we'll get some
But but
more. We'll
but
get
they
some
don't know
more.
that. That's the best part because
Yeah, yeah.
they have no idea. So when we come into present day, we have do we meet Scott?
Yeah, smash cut right to prison fight.
We meet Scott
Which
in
we find
prison.
out is an initiation that you get on the way out of prison, is you get in one last fight and get your eye busted.
Yeah. I love that though. I love the fact that they look like he's had a really hard time in prison, and then
Yeah.
at the end they're like, "I
I'm,
love you, man.
yeah, I'm gonna
Just gonna
miss you
miss you."
guys. Yeah.
I love that. And so yeah, we get our first look at Scott Lang coming out of prison
Yeah.
and leaving to meet up with his friend Lewis.
Ex-cellmate, yeah. He's not really his close friend. He was like an ex-cellmate, and now he's like, meeting him in the
I
real
guess there's
world.
a I guess there's a bond there that
Yeah.
nobody else will ever understand.
Yeah, but I think it's important that we're also meeting these people at the same roughly the same time
Yeah.
Scott does, like it helps put us on like his side. But I did want to quickly mention how like they both have very violent intros, like both of the Ant-Men. Do you think
Yeah.
that was because people were like, Ant-Man's a wuss, like that's not cool. So they thought like, let's intro them being like really
Cool.
like macho aggro.
Yeah. Could have been.
That was
Absolutely could have
I
been.
just kind of thought about it in that way because they both like start by attacking guys kind of thing. But yeah.
That's true, actually. Yeah, yeah, possibly. But
Also,
we,
he's in San Quentin, which is where they filmed the Scent Anger music video.
hey, I was living in that moment when that album came out. Like that was a turning point. I was alive. out, not just alive, but I was old enough to understand the importance of a Metallica album coming out.
You were like, fucking all, fucking no regrets.
Yeah. My James
Uh,
Hetfield impression is terrible.
sorry, it's just like
Don't
honestly,
worry.
anytime San Quentin's mentioned, it's just like straight back to that music video for my mind.
I love that time. I love that time in music
And
because it was so
I
exciting.
know Johnny Cash did it first, you know, like and all that stuff, but yeah.
He did it at Folsom, not San
Yeah.
Quentin, but
I
yeah,
know, yeah, but yeah, he's the famous prison music guy. But you know, Metallica were there in the end of
I
the new metal days too.
I love the Folsom album,
Yeah,
Folsom Prison album,
yeah,
because he just acts like one of them, even though it's like dude, you are loaded, like, and you
yeah.
have to walk out of here at the end of the day, but he still makes them feel like he's one of them.
He had that effect on people.
Yeah.
Scott again is very endearing and personable. We immediately get conversations where he's like, "I'm not going back to prison," like because the guy's immediately Louise immediately trying to talk him into another job.
Yeah,
And he's like, I've got a
instantly.
daughter to look after. And he's trying to do right. He tries his best to be normal, like a regular member of society after this.
He does.
But it doesn't work out for him very well.
It doesn't, because he starts work at Baskin Robbins. Now,
Yes. Have you seen Superstore, by the way?
no, I haven't.
Okay, because the kid who's making the order with him is
He's
like is he someone's deadbeat boyfriend in Superstore? Totally
um
different character, but still.
isn't he in did you watch Fallout?
Yes. Is he
He's
in?
in,
Oh yes, yes. He's the little twerpy guy in that who's
I
like,
loved him.
yeah, he's the one who's like very much into the Brotherhood of
Yeah,
Steel. Yes, yes, yes.
yeah. As soon as he came up, Thaddeus or something,
Yeah, but
I was like, oh
so
my god, it's
he's trying to order like the wrong food
him.
from like
Yeah,
he's like ordering burgers and stuff, and he's like, it's Baskin Robbins, we have ice cream.
Baskin Robbins that I cannot eat. This is where my lactose intolerance is like it draws the line
In
here.
America, yeah. Gets destroyed.
Cinnworld salad. That's the
Yeah.
ice cream that the sellers Baskin Robbins.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I have been very ill off the ice cream. My lactose intolerance is like this is the line that we can't cross. So we're
Yeah.
not gonna have Baskin Robbins ever again. Otherwise, you're not gonna survive.
Yeah.
Um,
More for the rest of us. Um
exactly. But
it he does kind of like he does give this guy a little bit of a hard time, but he's too stupid to realize. Like he's like,
he's
serve
actually
this.
quite sweet about it. Can you help us again?
Yeah, yeah, but he gets called in by his manager, and we assume he's gonna be like, "That's your third customer this week. You've called an idiot," but it's actually the more real life, you know, sort of
Yeah.
situation of, we found out about your conviction history, and he's like, "Oh,
And he basically tried to take down a corporation and give
mhm.
it back to the man, or give it back to the people,
Yeah,
and it went tits up. It very much sounds like have you seen Office Space?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It sounded like that. It sounded like what he did. That's how in my head is
yeah,
that's what he did. But he was
yeah." So it's a very much like, you know, rob from the rich to give back to the poor, like he undoes a scam basically.
yeah,
um and we also get a quick line about him having a master's in electrical engineering,
yeah.
which is how he thinks he's going to get a job, but then ends up in retail like so many of us
Yeah.
after our degrees.
I mean, I don't have a degree, but
Hashtag
yeah,
relatable.
I have I have I have many friends who have
Yeah,
degrees and work in my line of work.
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
the Baskin Robbins was not the first chain that they wanted to use.
Oh yeah, okay,
They wanted to use Chili's.
right, okay.
Chili's didn't want to be associated with the fact that because
It would
essentially
fire a
that's
convict.
yeah. So they didn't want that. So they had to move away from Chili's. They were going to go with something. And Baskin Robbins just went, hey, we're happy. Come on.
it's
We're
it's
happy to play along with this.
it's not real, so you know, it's
And that's
yeah,
what they said. And they were like, it's fun. It gets our name out there. And also
yeah,
they like the idea of the contrast of the brightness and it's
yeah,
all, he's just come out of prison. It's dark, it's dank, and he's gone into all this like, ooh, bright colors.
yeah,
So they
yeah.
like that contrast as well. So Baskin Robbins got the job, but it wasn't their initial plan.
All right, okay. Well, so the manager, who's this weird, like greasy guy, but he's funny though. He gives him he
He's
gives him
so
like
creepy.
he gives him like a modicum of false hope, but then immediately dashes it and he's like,
Oh, like,
no.
no, no, we can't keep you here.
But
Sorry.
I love how he says, like, but if you want to take, what is it? Oh man, I need the full name of this. The mango fruit blast, which is what he was
Yeah,
trying
on
to
the way
show.
out, feel
He's
free.
he's like, I'll look the other way. And I love that he actually takes it, because if
Yeah.
you said this to like Captain America or like Bucky, when like they wouldn't take it.
No, no, they
But
would just
Scott's
walk out.
like Scott's like on the street with his he took the fruit blast, and I
Yeah,
love
because
that.
he goes back to the apartment. It's one of my favorite lines because oh my gosh, the crew,
I
this
love the crew.
crew, David Dashamillion is Dash. I can't say his name. Malchian. Das
Uh-huh.
Malchian. I've said it. Whoa! I did a whole podcast of one of his movies
Yes.
and couldn't say his name throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Oh, Malchian. Oh my God, Dan's going to be so proud of us. Yeah, I love that. Thank you. He is a huge, like, as much as he loves horror and
Hmm.
monsters, he's very much like me. He loves
Yeah.
his comic books,
Oh
and
yeah.
he has some of the rarest in his collection that are
Is
not
he Polka Dot Man as well?
he
From
is,
Yeah.
yes. He has a lot of very old Creature Commandos.
Yeah.
The original Creature Commandos before it was redone, and he has Ant-Man was and the Avengers is he grew up with it. It's huge for him.
That's
He
amazing.
has, I think he has the first Avengers
Yeah.
issue 1. It's free. It's like it's protected. It's guarded. But I think it's signed by oh gosh, I could be making this up that it's signed, but he definitely has some pieces that are signed by some very big comic book creators.
Yeah.
Um,
He might have got to meet Stan Lee, hopefully,
he
because he
did,
was
he did. He
yeah.
mentions it because at one point the idea of meeting Stan Lee in a comic book convention becomes was just Stan Lee because he does it a lot. But he to him it was personal, it was special.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love David Dasmalchian. He has a great series on at the moment where he's interviewing famous people like these friends, but he's doing it while they're in coffins.
Okay. Yeah.
This guy is spooky. He's kooky. He's nerdy. I absolutely
Yeah.
love him so much. So to see him here is just a joy. And the fact that
Yeah.
they turn around and go, Baskin Robbins always knows.
Yeah, that he's like a Russian guy, like mobster guy, like like
Mhm.
a small time, like with his sort of Elvis-y haircut. I love it. Like his very
Yeah.
old-fashioned haircut.
It
Um,
it blew my mind that because I've always known him up until this like up
yeah,
until recently, he's just been like a bit character. He's not
yeah,
really branched off. I mean, like um night owl no, late night with the devil night
yes,
owls was the show he did late night with the devil that kind of blows him up, but for me it was when he did Suicide Squad
yeah,
running rings around Idris Elba, Margot
yeah.
Robbie, Cena. Like he's out acted every single one of them. He stole the scenes from them.
Yeah.
I love him so much. That's my David Dasmalchian. I can't believe I
It's
could
all
say his
right.
name.
It finally sunk in. Dan got in
Yeah,
your head. Um, yeah, I just love it though, because yeah, like you say, like all the gang, like including like Louis, is like like Baskin Robbins always finds that, bro. Then like the other guys, like
like,
Baskin Robbins don't play.
yeah, yeah. I love this gang though, and I really wish we got to see them
I
more.
need more of them. Like
Yeah,
I don't like to be that guy who like that nerd who's greedy for like the
no,
one
me
all the
neither.
characters to always come back. But like these guys are so charming with like
Hmm.
Scott, like they could have some more like comedy, but I
When
guess they're
he
not allowed.
when he finally decides to get in on the plan,
Yeah.
how they actually go, yay! Like the act, it's like a little girl thing to do. They all go,
Yeah.
oh,
They've clearly missed a mechanic guy, like
yeah,
that's the one missing part of the little crime crew. Um but yeah, so I think this is basically when we get Hank Pym just randomly showing up at Pym Technologies after I don't know, decades as far as we're aware, because
Yeah,
everyone's like,
this sounds like a homecoming kind of thing
he
because
doesn't have ID or anything. He's like,
it
he
doesn't.
looks,
I love the fact that he's like, I don't need
yeah, he
it.
looks at his portrait on the wall and he's like, is that enough ID? Like,
Yeah, he's gone because his protege, Darren Cross, who, by the way, is probably one of Marvel's great underestimated villains. I love him so much. Yeah, he
I
had
need to talk about Darren Cross for a second
go for it.
because of Quantum Mania and
Quantum
seeing so much of his stretched out face. I have a hard time focusing on his face now because I just keep imagining it bigger.
Yeah, I get that.
I wish they didn't just stretch him out, because
No, I thought there could have been, but the thing is, it's so funny.
it's
Like,
funny.
is
It
that
is
if that's
hilarious.
what they're going for, they got me in the funnies because
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious. I love Darren Cross because I feel like he has such a resemblance to um Jeff Bridges in
Yeah.
Iron Man.
But he's like
Um,
scarier, like
yes, he's kind
more.
of like elevated a little bit more.
Yeah, it's a dead interesting character. When you think he's kind of a throwaway villain that doesn't really get talked about again until way, way later. But he puts in a very interesting performance where he's like
Creepy.
he's like charming, unhinged, and angry,
All at the
on a
same time.
rotation, like kind of like ebbs and flows, and like you
Yeah.
never know who like which version is gonna show up in a scene. It's scary.
Yeah, he wants to introduce his yellow jacket,
Yeah.
which is such a brilliant name and brilliant suit, by the way.
It
Um,
looks like Ultron a bit as well, which I
the
think is
design,
unrelated, but it's cool.
yeah, I love the design work on it. But yeah,
Yeah.
and he, the fact because Hope's there, who
Yes.
we find out in that moment that it is Hank Pym's daughter, Hope Van
Yeah.
Dyne.
But you won't call
Um,
him dad at the moment. They've got like a weird
a
frosty thing
very
going on.
strained relationship. I
Yeah.
feel like they have a relationship, but it's not because she's clearly she's friendly with them when the heist happens.
Yeah, but even then there's like the secret resentment, and this is on display fake resentment. But
Yeah,
there's also a real resentment
yeah,
hidden.
and that's probably the only one thing that bugs me in this film is
Bugs.
that he had so many years to tell her the truth of what happened,
Exactly, he's a liar. He
and
keeps too many secrets.
within a few seconds, he broke.
Yeah. So this is where we get our history lesson on the Ant-Man because Evil Man Cross is like kind of given this like antagonistic presentation
Mhm.
like to Hank, because we do find out soon that he was like he mentored him, but then he walked away from him and sort of left him. And he was always asking about the Ant-Man, was it real? And he would never tell him again, keeping too many secrets. Um, so we get this like I've got some of the quotes here because he's like, imagine a soldier the size of an insect. It's the ultimate secret weapon, apparently. Um, an Ant-Man, that's what they used to call you, Hank. Silly, I know, propaganda. Tales to astonish. He actually says.
Tales to Astonish is
Yep.
the comic where it all comes from.
Yep, exactly. So yeah, I didn't fully understand the Ant-Man science. Hey, I ain't no quantum biologist, but they
No, but
say
I
it's
feel
something
like
to do with changing the distance between atoms while increasing density and
yeah,
strength.
it's kind of like this and that motion, like a pull and
Yeah,
push motion at
yeah,
this very same time in order for that's how I understood it. I got a U in my science GCSE. I didn't even attend it. So,
yeah.
you can take what you want from me, but that's how I understood the method of it.
Yeah, and it's like he keeps the strength that he has, but because it's condensed, he's like a more like a bullet, let's say.
Yeah.
Where like technically he's thrown a same punch, like force wise, but because he's smaller, it's like
Yeah.
concentrated.
But you get to see you don't have to fully understand the science because you get to see it played out later
Yeah,
on.
it's like a tiny
And
man fighting all these like soldiers in some ancient footage that they
yeah,
show.
but he's not. Hope confirms to Hank because Hank obviously is starting to get a little bit hot under the collar. Like, oh shit, is like
Yeah,
Has he worked this out? Because he's obviously kept it so guarded to stop people from doing that. Like Darren Cross is very close,
Yeah.
but Hope confirms he's nowhere near human level yet. He hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea because like technically he's right. If if there was like a government task force of tiny soldiers, like there would be very few things they wouldn't be able to like infiltrate and ruin. Um, but it's interesting how it's never really came back up in the Marvel world because Ant-Man and the, like Wasp, and then the Hope family and stuff like that. Like there's at least four size changes, including a Kang out there as well, who's in the quantum sort of field.
Oh my gosh. I've just sorry, something's just got you mentioned Ghost earlier.
Yeah.
Ghost is in the second Ant-Man film.
Yes. Yeah. So we're like, it's apparently very important, and but yet Scott Lang is allowed to sort of just kind of have his suit, even though he would technically be the most dangerous like threat to
Yeah.
security in the world. Um, yeah, but no, I get it. If there was like the yellow jacket suit is full of weapons and lasers, and it shows like a little like a sort of mock-up video of him
Mm.
sneaking inside of a briefcase and
Like,
like scanning the documents and then making the car crash, and it's like, oh yeah, this would suck if this was like a real possibility.
Darren's so good. There's something so
He's a con
comedic.
man, yeah, because he's
Yeah, there's
lying
something.
about, yeah.
Well, yeah, and he managed to like kick Hank out of his own company. So
Yes.
he's very clever. Whether or
Mhm.
not he's really clever, that's to be decided because obviously his thing just turns people to mush, which is what
Yeah.
he does in the toilets with that poor guy.
Yeah, the guy doesn't even say that much. He's just like, isn't
But we
this a bit
can't,
like dangerous, like to
yeah, we
have a
can't
guy
do this
run
yet.
around?
Like, he's being totally practical. Like, we can't do this yet. And he's like, Zap, you're gone.
Yeah, he's got like a little laser gun version that we don't see again. That just shrinks him
Yeah,
into some goop. Because yeah, apparently it just murders humans. Because I guess it just
because why
smushes
not?
all the
And
atoms together.
it's never mentioned again.
No, other than Hank's the too smart and he's the only one who can stop you from dying. But he also, I think, mentioned at some point that if you don't do it right, it makes your brain messed up as well, like the
Mhm.
shrinking. So that's why Darren goes like, mental
Crazy.
at the end. um, but yeah, so this is where we get some family drama. So Scott goes to his kid's birthday party.
Cassie.
Cassie is so good in this film. Like that young
So good.
actress they got is just perfect for playing a child, and she's not annoying or
No,
weird or
she's
anything.
she's absolutely fantastic, and they should have kept that same energy when it came down to Cassie Quantum Mania,
True.
because not good casting, not Cassie Lang. Um, the little kid who played her here, that's Cassie Lang.
Okay.
Like
I
cheeky,
didn't know enough to care at the time, I don't
yeah.
think, but
Not a fan. Love the actress. I really like her. There's like
uh-huh.
she was in Lisa Frankenstein and I think she's in Freaky as well. She was good, but she just she took Cassie to a serious level that just in
She
Quantum
should be
Mania
like Scott. Yeah, she should be a
she
Joker.
is the
And
mirror of Scott. Like there is
yeah,
a reason they're as close and daft as they are, is because they're exactly alike each other.
yeah,
And the when he hands her that teddy bear, that
the ugly one.
up, up teddy bear, and she loves it. He's like, she's so ugly. I love him.
That's you with all your Jar Jar dolls.
It is. But I do, before I log on my computer, I'm going, you're so ugly. I love you.
So yeah, like and this is where we get like he gets kicked out because it's like a cop. Like she's dating a cop now, so it's the
Oh
perfect
my
foil for
gosh.
him.
Bobby Cavendale, Cavafat. Oh my gosh, I can't say his name. Why do these people have long names? Canavale. He is. I like him so much. They begged him to do this movie because the friends, like him and Paul Rudd, are like
Yeah,
really good friends, and he was like, "Come on, dude, do it." And he was like, "Just for you." And the amazing Judy Greer as Scott's ex-wife.
yes.
Love
If
that
you've
woman.
seen Arrested Development, she's a very different character.
Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
different character. The Halloween movies, she's the only thing that kept that second movie going because she was phenomenal. Judy Greer is the girl. I love
Yeah.
her. So to have her in Marvel just makes my heart happy.
Yeah. But yeah, Scott kind of gets kicked out, and this is where they kind of tell him like,
But
look, just get your own apartment, get your life straight, then you can see Cassie again,
I,
pay the child support.
I don't think they're wrong in what they're saying,
Not
and
really.
boundaries need to be set. I understand it's his kid,
Yeah.
but they are the ones who have had to obviously pick the pieces up while he's been in prison,
Yeah.
and they're the ones who have to keep, life going while he's been in prison. So
Yeah.
to ask him to just sort yourself out, and then you can have everything that you want out of your relationship with your daughter. I do not think their request is unreasonable, and I don't think Scott sees it that way either. He might be a little bit huffy about it, but I don't think he knows that they're only doing it for her best interests.
Yeah, well, he goes and works it all out on paper, but unfortunately, he kind of comes to the conclusion that it'll be like, 300
Easier.
plus days till he gets to see her again or
Yeah,
something. And he's like, oh.
that's too much for him.
Yeah,
So let's see what this plan is then.
yeah, yeah. So you go, and this is where we get our first long, rambling, like Louis story, which is great.
It is fantastic. The minute this came on, I was like, oh wow, this is Edgar Wright. This
Yeah,
is, fried piece of gold right here.
yeah.
This is spaced kind of thing.
Where
And
he's doing everyone's voice that he's talking to, so he like puts on the different voices for his family members and stuff like that, and including
it's the fact
Stan
that
Lee
he's
a
so
little bit later.
it's when he's like, I'm at a wine tasting event. Like, it's
Yeah,
so sophisticated, especially the last one where he's like, and I was at this art gallery, and
yeah, yeah.
I like this guy.
He's talking about like the actual like forms of like artistry that he likes and doesn't
Yeah.
like.
And he's like, oh, you know me, I don't like a red, but they had this bang and rosy that kept the night going, and I was like, oh wow, okay, Lewis has got something about him.
Which is why he shows up a couple more times in Marvel to do like, recaps and silly
He's the best
side
at doing a
stories and stuff.
best at doing a
Um
recap.
but yeah, so like it's this long story, and he sums it up at the end, does Scott being like, there's an old man with a safe and he's gone for a week. Let's
Did
work
you
with that. Like
did
that
you
that
get
was
the did you get it? He does it twice though, where he's like, did she tell you to you tell him for him to tell me because I know you? No, and then at the end it's like, yes, and he's like eyes. It's his eyes flutter. Sorry,
I know.
it's so
He's
funny.
got such a friendly face as well. You just can't help but like trust him and everything.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I like you. But I love the fact that their friends are hanging on to every word he's saying. Like the crew
Yeah.
is like, a next.
But Scott's kind of bored already. Like he just wants to know
But
what.
it's very much, it reminds me so much of when Daisy and Tim in Spaced are looking for an apartment when they first meet each other,
Yeah.
and she does the whole, oh, why, and he's like, skip to the end. That it just
Yeah.
reminded me so much of that, but just done in a very different fashion.
Absolutely. So yeah, it turns out that it's Hank Pym's safe. He's the one who they're actually going to rob. Um,
But
and
it's
we
all a ruse.
Yeah, it's a long-winded setup because basically Pym's had his eye on this guy since he did the big crime
Yeah,
because it was supposedly the like unbeatable security system and he
yeah,
beat it.
yeah.
And I
That's
guess so his plan is basically let him steal the suit. Once he's in the suit, I'll be able to talk to him through the intercom.
mhm.
Um, and we're gonna try and hire this guy to be our sort of expendable agent who's going to
Yeah,
help us like wreck Darren's plans basically.
yeah. Because
um
Hope and Hank are working together.
yeah, yeah, so we get some classic like shrinking man action here where he shrinks into the bathtub and he's like, what's going on, and then the water gets turned on.
I love the fact that he didn't just do it straight away and it's like douche, he's gone. He kind of he's got the other hand and he's going like this and then he just
The big
like,
hand, yeah. Yeah.
the reactions are brilliant. Yeah, because he breaks into a house with a safe because that's what Lewis's message was all about. Was
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
this big house and there was a safe in there and did he tell you to you tell me? And he gets the suit out the safe and puts it on.
Yeah, he probably uses all of his weird mechanical knowledge to bust in. But
As
yeah, so
suits
then
goes though, as suits goes, this is a
yeah,
beautifully designed suit.
it's very cool because it's very like old sci-fi as well, isn't it? Where it's got lots
Yeah,
of like tubes and sort of like
and
valves and
shaped
stuff on it.
and shaped head, and I love the fact that in Endgame the suit design that they go for is the Ant-Man suit.
Yeah, because do they change the colors a couple of
It's
times like
white. It's
as we
kind of
go
like
on?
they all kind of like have like a
Yeah,
team color of like white, purple,
yeah.
and blue. I think. Um, could be red, white, and blue.
Because it hasn't come up yet on the show, but I am colorblind, so I
Yeah,
rely on
sorry.
friends to tell me about colors.
I think
It's fine.
yeah. One, I forget that, and
That's
two,
all
get
right.
reminded when Jake has to check stuff with me to ask what colours are what.
It's it's fine. It's just like, I don't want to speak out of turn and then have someone be like, Iron Man's teal, he's not mauve. And I'm just like, I don't know what any of that means.
No, I'm sure it's definitely white with purple. I'm sure there's purple in there. But anyways, the,
Yeah.
the design work that is very similar too, because it's obviously it's Hank's creation that they use, and so I guess to honor Hank's creation of the pin particles, they go with the Ant-Man style
Yeah.
outfits,
Yeah. Because we're
which they
gonna get
got very
everyone
quickly
wearing these
anyway.
soon, aren't we, when the timey-wimey business
Yeah,
happens.
so
But
I
yeah,
love the design work in this. I love the helmet, the
yeah.
the the suit reminds us very much of Deadpool's, and I'm not talking about the actual style. I'm just talking about material wise and how it looks on screen.
Yeah, and I didn't think about it much, but Paul Rudd's clearly not afraid to be masked up for a lot of a movie because and I wasn't thinking about it. I wasn't like, oh, I miss Paul Rudd's face. It's just like
No,
he's got
no,
enough personality to carry through like this.
yeah,
Yeah.
oh, 100%. And we don't need to be in there either. It's not Iron Man. We don't need to see that he's in the suit. We just accept the fact
Yeah.
he's there.
But yeah,
And
he has a proper like he has an awful first time because it's making him feel like dizzy and sick. He gets washed down the bathtub. He like falls through into the apartment
he has
below,
a
and there's like a dance like happening like
he has
disco.
a he has a very Honey I Shrunk the Mom,
Yeah,
Honey I Shrunk the Kids moment.
yeah, he gets hoovered up like a mouse chases him like out the building.
And then he meets the ants.
Yes, yeah. So like, so basically, he like, okay, he falls out the building, gets freaked. He runs to take it back because he's like, this is messed up. He gets arrested, taking it back, and then he gets like the ultimatum from Hank, being like, look. Do you want to help me out here and you'll be free of prison, or do you want to just sit here and be like
Yeah,
a
and
fuck up?
and you, but I think they use his daughter against him. It's like,
Yeah,
and your daughter will, you'll never
yeah.
see her again, kind of. Not that you'll never see her again, but like, this is what she's going to think of you.
He
Is
says like, yeah, he says like, I'm giving you the chance to be the hero that Cassie sees in you already. So it's like he can't say no to that.
no, you use his child against him. It's a definite
Yeah.
yes.
And yes, Sammy, this is where the ants come in because they take the tiny suit into his prison cell for him, and then they start spelling out how many seconds he's got left till the guard comes.
I feel like I should kind of explain. I I don't. I'm scared of ants.
I think like everyone should probably have an ants in the house story. Happens a lot more in America. If you leave anything on the countertop in America.
And it's something that gives me great fear.
Yeah.
We had an incident. Was it last year? Was it last year where it happened? And it was in my bedroom.
Right.
Mm,
Okay, that's bad.
yeah, it was, and it freaked me out to the point where I did not go back in that room. I slept on the couch, and I every day disinfected the house. I made Ant completely disinfect. I mean, Ant spent a whole night watching them
Yeah.
and finding out where they were going from and to. And he just found it so fascinating, and I'm so itchy thinking about it. But we ended up having to obviously get rid of them. I'm so
Yeah.
itchy. Um, but yeah, if the idea of them freaks me out. But we've not ever since that incident, because Anth got to see where, because the holes are tiny,
Oh yeah, they'll just come in anywhere.
tiny.
Yeah.
He managed to completely seal everything up. So touch wood, we've not had an instance. I mean, my bedroom is super clean. Like there is not. I clean every counted like thoroughly clean every counter down. Like, oh, I'm
Yeah.
not scared to chuck bleach down plate like everywhere.
Well, I'm sorry I had to relive the ant horrors
I
during
didn't
this
even think
movie.
it was going to become a factor until because I've seen this movie 100 times. Like this is
Yeah.
one of my go-to favorite Marvel
Yeah.
movies, and it just brought back trauma. Like I was like itchy and
Yeah.
yeah,
So
oh, I can't. I'm quite
so
scared of
like
them.
so this is where we're introduced to Anthony, the flying ant, that he likes to. Sorry.
This filled me water thinking like how cute he was as well, and then it
um,
brings back the trauma of Honey I Shrunk the Kids.
Absolutely. There's a lot of parallels there. But so like he gets saved on a flying ant that he rides like a flying motorbike like or like Fern Gully or something.
Because
Um
he tells he's like this whole sequence is really funny
yeah.
because he's saying, oh, I'm getting the hang of this, and he's get, nope, you're not, I'm controlling them.
And then he slowly starts passing it out as like the ride gets crazier and he's just like like
Yeah,
just passes out while he's like flying.
it's such a
Um
realistic thing, like he
Oh,
wouldn't get it.
I would freak out. I would be barfing and everything. Because he's like, "What happens if I throw up in the suit?" And he's like, "Do not throw up in my suit."
Yeah,
Like all that stuff.
this interaction is brilliant. This is the reason why I love that
Yeah,
Michael Douglas is playing Hank Pym.
yeah, because he's the
um,
perfect like angry straight man to the
yeah.
comedy man. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's perfect.
he's absolutely phenomenal in this, and especially this sequence. Um, but it there's something else. It's the fact that he calls the ants by numbers, and Scott
Yes.
clearly doesn't like that because then he ends up naming one of his.
Yeah, yeah, immediately. Which, as you know, if you nickname some kind of creature or item, it immediately becomes like special to a human.
There's a connect. Once you name something,
Yep.
you're bonded.
Oh yeah. But so when Scott wakes up, he's like in the mansion with Hope just standing over him. He's like, "Ugh."
With
um,
the ants
yes,
on the floor.
the bitey ants.
The mighty ants.
So yeah, basically he goes down to breakfast and he gets the story explained to him that we've mentioned. Like he wants him to break in.
Mhm.
This is the only way to do it. There's no other way. He has to get through a tiny laser grid to get in the yellow jacket sort of containment
Yeah,
thing. And this is where we get like our first sort of talk about Hope's mother not being around.
but we
Um,
don't get to find the story out yet.
no, not
The
just
kind
yet.
of, but there is the tension, the tension between the two of them is obviously explained with
Yeah,
the the fact that Hope's mother's not there, um but
because he
not
does.
fully.
Yeah, because he has to warn him about the quantum realm. Because he's just like, don't screw with the regulator, otherwise
He goes subatomic.
you'll keep shrinking forever and falling forever.
What
um,
I love though is that even he doesn't know too much about the quantum realm at this point. Like he's
no,
still trying to figure it out. So when he's going, and you'll go subatomic, and
and
you'll
you'll
just
lose
fall.
everything. Yeah,
You'll just fall forever. Um, but we get a montage of them training him. The
yeah.
contempt on Michael Douglas's face throughout this whole thing is just mwah, chef's kiss. Love it.
Yeah, like because of the try and make him dive through a keyhole because
And all you can hear is doom,
yeah, because
doom.
he's got to run, jump, but then shrink, then resize when he gets to the other side. It's very complicated.
Yeah.
And then Hope kicks his ass in the spar, like the the sparring dungeon,
Yeah,
I guess.
this is where they kind of have a little moment because there's a lot of tension between the two of them, and it's mainly on Hope's side more than anything. Because I get it,
Yes.
Hope is kind of like being a part of. She knows the Ant-Man stories. She knows
Yeah, yeah,
she's trained for something along this lines, but for Hank not to use that, and it's understandable when we find out what happened
yeah.
to Janet, but he obviously doing that fatherly thing of protection, which
Mhm.
sometimes ends up just hurting somebody, and it clearly has
Yeah.
hurt Hope. Now she's not part of the heist, which
But it's interesting though because like Scott doesn't really let on because he jokes a lot about everything
mhm,
like Paul Rudd character. um but when he sits down in the car with her sort of after they have a big blowout
mhm.
again, like another argument, and he's like, can't you like see what he's doing? Like he's like, I'm expendable. Like he doesn't want you in the
Yeah.
suit because he doesn't want you to possibly die during
Hmm.
this.
Yeah.
So like Scott's immediately picking up the fatherly cues and being like, okay,
He's a
I
child.
completely understand why he's acting this way because, and
Yeah.
here's why.
Yeah. And he accepts that. Like,
Yeah.
um, and that's when she kind of breaks a little bit with him and is like, if I knew you had a daughter when I made that phone call to the police because
Yeah,
it
she
was Hope
wouldn't
who
have.
grassed him in.
Yeah, yeah,
I wouldn't have done it.
yeah,
Um, so there's a kind of tender moment there, but
yeah.
nothing too much. There's obviously the building a relationship, friendship.
Yeah, we get it fully. We see it crash down, but then we get it like built up again during this
Hmm.
movie, which is pretty good for like such a short runtime and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so he's trained. He's pretty good. You know, he's got everything. He can talk to the ants. He can ride them. He can fly through the keyhole. He knows how to fight. So his final test is to get some piece of PIM tech back from a stock warehouse. Is what it's described as before they get there.
And it's not. It's the Avengers headquarters.
It's been turned into that apparently. But Hank's just so out of touch he doesn't even care to look it up
Oh,
properly.
and he's like, Scott, get out of there. And oh my gosh, this is where we get our cameo
This
from
was
Falcon.
Yes, this was my absolute favorite joke when it's just like it's okay, you can't see me, and he's like, I can see you like immediately afterwards.
Oh,
Because he's got his little laser eyes like
I
checking him out.
love how shit sure Sam is of himself in this moment until he's not.
Oh, it's so funny. Because
And
yeah,
even
they have a proper fight with a lot of like shrinking. He's like, I'm really sorry about this while he's hitting him and
yeah,
stuff
it's
like that.
I think this is like Scott's first outing of I can
Yeah.
because Falcon's never going to really hurt him. He's not.
No.
He's an Avenger. He's not going to really go. He's just going to, if anything, capture him. Like he knows that he's going to be safe in a way. So maybe let's try all these new techniques out that I've just learned.
And Scott's like scrappy, like it's he might
He's a
not be the
little,
best fighter, but he's like
yeah.
he's
He's a little bitch when he gets into his suit and starts pulling stuff out. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
yeah, yeah, and he's like he's inside
He's
it's
one
like
of those
exploding
girls
and
who pulls
everything.
hair.
Yeah, for sure, like a proper
um,
prison fighter.
I love at the end though where Sam just goes, and if Captain America finds out about this, and I'm sure he called him Tic Tac Man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's just like it's really important that Cap never finds out about this.
I love, and
Um,
I mean, we probably said this 100 times before. We are Sam Wilson fans, so
he's great, man.
to have Sam in this is just
And I totally forgot about it as well. Like I was like, oh yeah,
me
okay.
too.
I remember the Avengers compound bit, but I totally forgot that he has a little scrap.
Yeah, a little scrap with him, but he gets it as much as
Yeah.
Hope and Hank are a bit peeved at him because he went up against an Avenger.
Yeah.
He got it.
Yeah. Yeah, because that was one thing. They've got like shrinking tech that you can throw on stuff to make the thing shrink or like reverse also
Obviously comes
works.
into play later on.
But yeah, this is where we get the team brought in, all of his friends come into the big heist because he's like, we're gonna need some more guys here. You
We
know, we
need the
need
crew.
yeah, it's like we need someone who can like take down the laser grid and someone like on the inside who can turn the
Mhm.
water valve off because they're like, yeah, because Darren Cross shows up and is all creepy and like almost murders Hank, kind of, or he
Yeah.
definitely threatens it. And then he's like, I'm tripling security, you know, like I want more, you know, like
Okay,
three
Darren.
times the laser grid. So yeah, that's how they know. Okay, we're gonna have to change gears going through the waterway, and we need some backup. So this is where everyone joins, and they all have a fun time in the mansion. And I think
Yes.
this is the part
I
where we
remember
get a
that.
little bit more about Hope's mother, and
I feel
while
like
they're
this is
getting ready.
yeah, I feel like this is where they have the moment. Is this where they
Mhm.
have the moment where he tells her about the quantum realm? Because I feel like you need the gravity of everything needs to be before they go into what they're about to do.
Yeah, and they start smooching as well, don't
Yeah,
they?
yeah.
He
Um,
catches them smooching. He's like, but yeah,
um,
and he ruins like the father daughter moment when they're like, why didn't you just tell me? And Scott's like, oh, isn't this great?
it's the pause. They're having this loving moment, and Scott just goes, "No, see, don't we all just feel better?
It's really
I
creepy.
just ruined this for you." And the parents are like, "Yep, yep, you have," because it's revealed that Hope Hank, Janet Van Dyne,
Yeah,
who's the original Wasp, she is now lost in the quantum realm. She went
yeah,
subatomic in order to save Hank, and she is now lost. And he has spent his whole life since then
yeah,
trying to find a way to understand the quantum realm so he can go back and get her.
yeah.
But
We don't see a face for Janet
no,
or
because
anything.
he's not cast at this point, which is perfect.
Yeah, but it's cool because obviously the mask hides it, so
Mhm.
you can have her in the movie, but we just don't know who's cast.
And again,
Yeah, it's
another
something to do with to
fantastic
get
suit.
through. Yeah, it's something to do with getting through titanium. The molecules must be too close together, so you've got to go like
Hmm.
way further than normal. So
Yeah.
those damn
Um,
Soviet missiles.
I um I have the Wasp Funko Pop
Yeah,
because I love that suit so much.
yeah, it's cool. Like the it's silly that the Ant-Man suit doesn't have wings. That seems like you would want that, but
Yeah, but I'm happy that there's
she's
a
almost cooler.
yeah, but there's a different contrast. They're not similar, and
Yeah, true.
that's what I particularly like about it. I would have loved the Ant Man suit to have antennas, like they're like the original Ant Man
Yeah.
suit. But
They could have done that. They probably would have done a joke where they got knocked off in a pipe or something.
yeah, that would have been so cool. Like while they're on this mission, while just before Janet
Yeah.
goes, he just gets knocked on the head, and his little antlers like fall down. Yeah. Um. So yeah, we have that tender moment that Scott then ruins. So they know.
Yeah.
So Janet Hope is now like the bridge has been gapped, but the importance of it needed. If they're going to go into this mission in order to stop Darren, she needs to know what's at stake and what has
Yeah.
been at stake and the reason why this is so damn important that he cannot go ahead and do this. It's too dangerous.
Yeah, yeah. And like over the course of the movie we've seen him like testing on animals and he's still not there. Like he never like he only just figures it out, I think.
Hmm.
Like right towards the end, he shrinks one goat and he's like, haha, I've done it
But this is
finally.
how he does it in front of Hope.
And she's like, this sucks. I hate
Like, oh
this.
shit, he's done
Yeah,
it.
she's like, but yeah, so we're in heist mode now. So we've got like everyone all suited up. Like there's the two guys in the van out front, and like Louis in the building, like is like a
Mhm.
fake security. Like they've got him a fake pass and everything so he can get in.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, like the heist, it's definitely like we said, this movie is very tropey, and I do like
Uh-huh.
how we get all of the heist tropes and stuff. Like there's like a bomb timer going in the background, and we even get like Mission Impossible like laser grids and
Bum,
stuff, and
bum,
it's like
bum, 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 bum.
gets taken down at the very last second. But it all unfortunately turns out that Darren was ready for this completely, and he's like, "I knew you
'Cause
guys were planning
he's
a
that
heist."
good of a super villain. He figured it all out beforehand.
Yeah, and poor Scott's like trapped in his little glass case of emotion, like no.
He looks so helpless. I'm so glad he didn't take the helmet off because
Yeah,
it looks so much more. It has such more effect
yeah.
while he's standing in there and he's just like he's so confused and he's so like, oh shit, I
They
shouldn't.
do they do manage to use the electric ants, that the conductive electric ants, to short out all of like the backups and stuff. And I don't think Darren was ready for them to plant bombs in the ceiling because he doesn't seem to
No.
worry about that or like think about that at all.
What's the?
Um
Can you remember the bullet ants?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know? Fun fact. They were influenced by Ray Winston.
Really? How so?
They were made to look heavier, and their hairs were made thicker to resemble horns.
Oh, I see what you, yeah, okay, okay, okay.
And the crazy ants were influenced by puppies.
Oh yeah, because the kind of he kind of like strokes one at one point and then they all like go on him, and then you probably
Oh,
got itchy.
happy me. It's
But the
weird because I get an itch in one place and then another one starts somewhere else.
we're almost through with the ads, I swear.
Fine, it's just the mere mention of it. I can't stop itching. I'm
I
sorry.
I love like so yeah, there's a couple of like little, like dramatic moments, like because he's basically locked Hank and Hope in the vault with
Yeah.
everyone, including the bad guys who now are like from Hydra. He just says it outright, and he's like,
Oh yeah, there's no hiding this. Like they
yeah,
hide.
and he's like, they're into some different business stuff now, and he's like, it's fine, we're just selling the Hydra. He's like full mask off at this point, like
Yeah,
full
like
evil.
yeah, we don't care.
And
We
they do a very interesting performance with it, where he almost has Hank shot, and he's like, no, 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 this isn't right. And he's like, I need to do it, which is like, and you're like, oh, holy crap.
really are going with this superhero, this supervillain malarkey, aren't
Yeah.
you?
And then the bullet ants come to help and bite and jam up the gun so he can't get shot. Hank does catch a stray bullet though in this like,
Yeah,
madness, because like Scott breaks out of the cage with his like, big discs where he can make the glass big, I guess, and it just
yeah.
explodes. um
Hank has a lot of things up his sleeve that he hasn't quite told people about.
yeah.
One of them being a tank on a keyring.
I love that because you do see that through the whole movie, and it's
Mhm.
like he's like, Janet, use this, and she's like, what? He's like, it's not actually a keyring. You just see like a tank explode out of the wall.
Yeah, I love
Very
these little
cool.
tricks.
And it's even got like a big keychain out the back of it still, like it's like sized everything up. And that helps the guys get away, because there's been this tension of like, are all of our favorite gang gonna get captured too? And they're like, he's just like, hey, get
Crew's
back here. He's like, there's
okay.
a tank. I can't hear you. It's too loud and stuff. And they
Now,
just drive off.
while all this is going on, Cassie's stepdad is looking for the escape artist that is Scott Lang because he escaped from
Yes.
prison. So while all this is happening, the police are looking for Scott.
Yeah. But he's too small. They can't, he's
Too
not
small
really
to
around.
see.
But all of his accomplices are
Yeah,
sort of in and around. But yeah, this is like, so the cop guy, he's like a bit of an antagonist at first, but at this point he's kind of took to a joke sort of
yeah.
character, I would say, which is good because we don't want to hate him.
No, we
He's
don't want to
just
hate him. He's not.
he's
He's
just
not a
being a
bad
stepdad.
person. Exactly. He's not a bad person.
Yeah, he's
He's,
just the perfect anti-Scott, really, isn't he? In
but yeah,
every way.
exactly. He's a policeman. And Scott's a criminal. Doesn't
So
matter how you look at it. He's still a criminal.
oh yeah. So like this is where we get like all the roof and helicopter chase and all that like crazy stuff. Um and in the scuffle, the yellow jacket suits up in his horrible death suit that has way too many lasers.
Way too many lasers. And do you want to know a fun fact about the lasers?
Yes, always.
The sound that they
All right.
make.
I didn't
Pew
notice
pew.
anything. Oh, is it a Star Wars sound bank?
That's
I didn't notice that. I didn't pick up on it.
yeah. Lucas give them at.
I've heard some Star Wars sounds in other things. It actually, weirdly enough, shows up in the Naruto anime. They use like, like TIE fighter bullet sounds,
Yeah.
like, for like power up noises. And I'm like, all right, here we go.
I say Lucas, but doesn't Disney own Star Wars at this point? So it's like we
Yes.
can just take from our own shit.
And did you know that I think maybe just prior to the Disney, there was a really good soundboard on the Star Wars website where you could get like unaltered voice, like sort of voice lines from the recordings. Like you could get Darth Vader lines with no like background noise or music, like
You
just full
know.
on. It's probably
Whoa.
gone now, but it was cool for a
Oh,
while. You could just
I
have a
would,
good listen to James Earl Jones and all that.
that'd be, he put me to sleep.
Apart from he's angry a lot of the time. He
And now
wants to
we're
know
in
what
bed.
happens to the plans he sent you.
Um, so this is where I'm a little because unfortunately I did have to watch this while I was at work. So this
No, no, honestly,
last
like I
bit gets a
think
little
this,
bit hazy.
I was gonna say this part of the movie is kind of a bit messy, because it kind of it goes from like helicopter chase to like
Yeah, to
uh
them being in the house.
they're in some random person's backyard, and then he gets thrown into the bug zapper.
Yeah.
Which obviously though it couldn't wait to make that joke. Like, the little wasp man gets thrown into the bug zapper. Um, and yeah, this is so then Scott gets took by the police, which gives
Hmm.
him time to go and kidnap Cassie. Well, hostage situation, his
And this is
daughter.
where Paxton, who is the stepdad, has
Stand
to
in the room and be like, what the hell is
yeah,
this?
he has to let Scott do what he can
Mm.
clearly see he needs to do because he's wearing
Yeah.
a goddamn superhero suit.
Yeah. So like this is like Darren at his most unhinged, where he's just like, I am going to kill a child now. And he's like,
Yeah.
do I look like a monster to you? Sort of thing, like in a room. Um, and yeah,
Yeah.
this is where they have like the Toy Story fight.
How was
That's
the
all I
tank
can.
engine fight?
Yeah, like on a toy train
I'm
set.
sorry, but when that train falls over,
Yeah,
it
because they basically switch between action movie shots and then what it looks like in the real world with no weight or anything to stuff. But yeah, so like this is I wrote down here like this is why we love Scott Lang, because Hank Pym would never do this. His
no.
fight would be serious, but Scott is like, I'm gonna throw the toy train carriages at him.
Yep.
And it's very like he's using like the environment in like more silly ways and more
Yeah,
inventive ways.
where Hank wouldn't do that.
Yeah, but that's why we love him.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. But something kind of goes wrong with his suit.
Yes, okay, so this is where the titanium comes back up,
Hmm.
because he's like, I can't get in any of the yellow jacket suit, like none of the entrances are
Yeah.
like big enough. So he's like, I'm gonna have to go subatomic. And then
Well, yeah,
everyone,
it's a playback to what he did with Sam, but it's
yeah,
just not working on him.
yes, yeah. He's basically trying to get in the circuit boards again.
Hmm.
So yeah, he has to do it. He has to mess with the regulator or whatever, go subatomic. But he manages to. It's very like fantasy movie, sort of like follows his daughter's voice back, if in a way,
Yeah,
because she's
yeah,
like shouting out for
he
him.
guides him.
It's kind of makes him come to enough. But yeah, I think he just figures this out. It's like an improv thing. He's like, okay, I'll put the big, like, the grenade
Yeah,
version
I
in
don't
the
think there's
suit.
I don't think there's any thought here. Just he just does. Like there's
Instinct,
no
yeah.
yeah,
Because
complete
later on he says he doesn't know what he did.
no. And that's obviously the very frustrating part for Hank Pym
Yeah,
because he spent his whole life after the incident trying to do what Scott just did.
get out. Yeah. But I think like so this is he manages to do this in the suit. So then
Yeah,
when he comes back out, it like breaks the yellow jacket suit in such a way that he also gets sucked into the quantum realm.
yeah.
And this is what I was saying, look out for secret Modoc hints. But all of his arms and legs shrink into his head for a little bit. You see like one frame of a Modoc looking
That is such a
shape.
callback, but I had to go through a few things of him, just
Yeah.
his scenes alone, to see what you were referring to. Because I was like, well, they don't talk about it, so I don't know what he's referencing, but it's the end part with these
Yeah.
arms.
I know how dare they like tease this so long ago and no
Yeah.
one really picked up
And
on
the funny
it.
part is, painting has nothing to do with the with Quantum Mania.
No, it's either just a happy coincidence or like Kevin was like,
Hang
hang
on a
on,
minute.
yeah, you do this and we'll think about it for a few
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
Also the ant in the fight gets turned big, and like the sort of cop guy's partner is like, that's one messed up looking dog, because it like attacks people and everything.
yeah. And it becomes Cassie's playmate.
It does, it becomes like the family pet.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
then, yeah, so Darren's gone for
he
now.
is for now. Everyone's in the quantum realm. It's fun down there, guys. Everyone has a good time. Um, but yeah, so like this is kind of Scott getting an ultimate victory. Really, he beats the bad guy. He gives Hank hope because he's not literally his daughter hope,
Yeah,
like the literal hope that he can save, like
yeah.
his wife one day.
If Scott did it, he will be able to do it, and there's work to be done.
Yeah,
And now Scott has a job, stability, something that he didn't have before all this happened. He's sitting having a family dinner with his ex-wife, her new husband, and his child, and it's normal. And the fact that they actually were like, Paxton's going, well, Scott, you didn't actually escape from prison. It was just
yeah,
processed wrong. And he's like, I can't take away, I can't look at what you did, and now what you're going to go on to do. I can't take that away from you by putting you back into prison.
yeah.
And it's the whole, this is awkward, isn't it, conversation. And then they just go back to being completely like,
Yeah, then Kathy's like, I did a cartwheel today, and they're just like, what, a cartwheel, like, and stuff. And he
hey, I
doesn't do
love
that.
that moment.
He doesn't do that classic dad thing where it's like, oh, the absentee dad, like, I missed a cartwheel. It's like, no, he's
Like, oh
excited to
my
see
god,
the
you're totally
video.
50. Like, high five,
That's
stepdad.
a professional gymnast. Yeah, like that kind
Yeah,
of
there's
good dad behavior.
it's such a beautiful moment for Scott. But then he gets a phone call from work. He has to go to work.
I'm not sure what his job is technically. I
I
guess he
don't
works
know
for
because
Pim Tech,
he
although they
go
blew it up.
they go back when he goes to work. It's
Yeah.
to Lewis and the crew, and it's
Yeah.
another tip off.
Yeah, we get our last Lewis story, which is where our Stan Lee cameo comes
Yeah,
in.
crazy, stupid fine.
Yeah, it's so silly.
So the girl who is the reporter, I
Mhm.
know her from a YouTube video that Max, oh god, what's his name? Oh god,
I'm not
what's
sure.
the director I don't like? He did American Werewolf in Paris.
Oh, you're in
John.
you're in horror territory now.
Oh, well, his son did a video
Yeah.
called "Wrestling Isn't Fake." Have you ever seen
Uh,
it?
I don't think
It's
maybe.
with all
Uh,
the women. It's with all the women of YouTube and social media, like of nerdy nature.
yeah.
And
Yes, wrestling isn't wrestling. Is that it?
wrestling isn't wrestling. That's it.
I do remember
And
seeing
it's the
this.
story
Yeah.
of Triple H, and the Triple H is played by Chloe Dykstra, who is the
Right.
daughter of John Dykstra, who is the creator behind the lightsaber.
God, I haven't seen this for years, but yeah, it's
No,
where it kind of like it kind of tells people like wrestling is storytelling.
yeah,
It's not what you think type of
no,
thing.
and he goes through Triple H's whole backstory, and it's
Yeah,
all played out by women.
yeah,
Every wrestler in there is played by a woman. She plays, I think it's Batista.
yeah. When they do the evolution
Yeah,
bit, yeah.
I think and that's how I recognized. I was like, shit, girl.
Oh, what a pull, Sammy! Like I haven't thought about this video for like I don't know. It says it came out 10 years ago.
Did so Chloe Dykstra is half the reason I was like, when I first started getting into comic books
Yeah,
and getting back into being the stupid nerd that I was from being as a kid, was because of the likes of Chloe Dykstra.
yeah,
Because she was out there making YouTube videos on her cosplay, video
yeah,
games, comic books, and they were basic. There's nothing to them. It's just her sitting in her room being her.
yeah,
And it kind of opened up this huge door for us. So Chloe's been like a bit of a constant, and Comic Book Girl 19 is in that.
yeah.
You know, the wrestler with the big helmet who falls over,
Oh, Shockmaster. Yeah, yeah,
Shockmaster.
yeah. Or
Um,
Tugboat.
Something like that. Yeah, Comic Book Girl 19, who was obviously a huge influence in my comic book journey. And I
Yeah.
actually have her on in the background. Her X-Men videos are on right now. Um, she's in that. But I reckon instantly recognized her from that video.
That's crazy, man. But yeah, if people don't know, we also do wrestling podcasts on Nerdy Up
You
North.
do?
I
Oh,
think
you
Sam.
do.
Well, I think you said you would come on if we did Royal Rumble 2000.
Which one's that one? Is that the one with Jake the Snake?
No, no, this is the one. That's the one with Cactus Jack and Triple H from Wrestling Isn't Wrestling.
Oh, right. Yes,
It's
I
a
will.
good one.
If you ever do St. Valentine's Day Massacre, that's one of my favorite wrestling
Okay.
events. It was a one-off. It was
Okay. Maybe we'll pick that then.
anything that, to be honest, I would do anything because like
You wanna
it's amazing how much I can talk somebody to like sleep by talking about wrestling.
yeah,
The
but
old talk about what's going on now. I'm gonna fucking clue.
these shows that we do are just my excuse to rewatch things because it actually makes me sit down and watch good things like Ant-Man.
Yeah,
But yeah, so like this is like we get a couple after the credits things. They're a bit odd in this one. The first one
but
is totally fine. It's we see the second Wasp suit and it looks
second
very
was the
nice and clean.
prototype suit.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's very like sleek and
It
the
was
like the black and yellow.
it was one of the first images that I remember seeing released because this was
Yeah,
back in a time when we didn't really get,
the
you
set
know,
leaks.
set leaks and stuff like that, but we got this kind of hinted to us, and it was the shot of the suit,
Yeah,
because we didn't know what it meant. Because to
like if
be
she was
honest,
gonna show up or anything. Yeah,
nobody knew what this movie meant because it was Scott being Ant-Man, but
yeah,
we knew Hank was there. So we didn't know how he was going to play a part in it. We knew Hope was there as
yeah.
well, and she is a variation of the Wasp character too.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, this was a lovely scene, but I really hate the top that she wears in this scene.
Oh, I didn't pick up on it. I was
She's
just
clearly been working out for this movie, and
right.
she's got that beautiful neck muscle right there, and a jumper sits on it awkwardly.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
But it's
maybe.
so beautiful. She looks stunning. But yeah, it sits up so weird. And it's where my
Yeah.
eye goes to straight away. I'm like, no.
Now you've ruined it for all of the viewers at home. But
I'm so sorry.
and then we
The
get,
second one,
which is basically just a cutscene out of Civil War,
it is, but
effectively.
it makes you ask a few questions because Steve and Sam are in a warehouse, and you can
Yeah.
clearly see the Winter Soldier is pinned by his arm to a
Yeah.
machine, and he talks about we need to call Tony on this, and he's like, you can't call Tony. You
Yeah.
don't know if this was a week ago, this wouldn't have been a problem,
Yeah.
but you don't know what the Accords are going to let him do. Clearly,
Well,
civil war is in motion at this point.
and I think like had Tony found out about that he had assassinated his parents at this point, like I
Well,
don't
no,
know
it
if
wouldn't have
that's
been this point. That would have been
okay.
later on.
Okay,
This is
yeah,
just
yeah,
this is just to do with the Accords because
yeah.
Civil War, and we'll get into the Accords. And
But
I will,
he's like, this has just got to stay like you and me on this one. He's like, we're on our own. He's like, hang on, I know a guy. So it turns
I
out,
love the way he delivers that line. He goes, "No wait,
yeah.
I know a guy."
So like Sam is, he's seen the use of this tech,
Potential,
the shrinky tech,
yeah,
tic
and
tac.
the potential
Yeah,
that Scott had as well. Yeah, this obviously plays a huge part in the Civil War. And when
yes,
we do Civil War, I will go through the difference between the Accords and the Superhero Registration Act
yeah.
because you need to know about it.
Oh yeah. And the crazy inciting incident of that in the comics, which is nothing like Sokovia dropping on a town.
No, but
It's
bearing in
cool
mind,
though.
and we have to take into account this with everything. It all has to fit this universe. It doesn't have to fit
Yes.
that universe.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, I'm excited to get to it because I'll be honest with you, last time I watched Civil War, I got
You
kind of
weren't
bored
keen.
because I didn't have any of the context anymore for like the conversations at the
Yeah.
start, and it's not very actiony after the
Mhm.
first scene. I'm gonna like it this time though because I'm
I
like
think
back
you are.
in. I've seen
Um,
all the bits leading up and stuff.
we got our first mention of Spider-Man in this movie.
Oh, did we? Did they say like a guy who crawls
We
on walls or
say
something at
this
some
in
point?
the in Lewis's bit at the end when
Uh-huh.
the girl is talking to Sam. She's like, "You got to be more specific. We got people who
Ah.
crawl up walls. We got people who swing off walls." Like she's like, "Got to be more
All right,
specific."
okay. See,
Um,
yeah, I think at the time I didn't even pick up on
nobody,
that.
no, I don't think anyone picked up on it until later on.
Oh yeah, it got leaked before Civil War came out.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like I
Um,
knew about it. It was still special to see it finally, but I definitely knew about it before.
Yeah, me too. But it didn't matter.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. We were going to have Spider-Man in, however way that was going to happen.
Sammy
Um,
was like, ugh, Spider-Man,
I'm
more
just
insects.
he's okay. I like spiders.
Okay. But
I
you
just
don't like
don't.
Spider-Man though, and you don't
I'm
like
just not.
Loki's bug
It's
antlers.
look. It's true. It's all fitting in together, isn't it?
It's
It's
all
all
coming
fitting
together.
together. Um, I don't have any comic recommendations for Ant-Man, and it's merely
Yeah.
because when I was looking, no, my recommendations that I've done before have come off me and what
Yeah.
I personally like. Um, I don't know anything. The only time Ant-Man has ever crossed my path is obviously through research of, going through my Marvel journey and learning
Mhm.
about the Avengers and Hank and Janet Van Dyne and from Pym. But I think he came into She-Hulk at one point.
Yeah.
Scott
But he's
did
like
anyway.
he's there with the Avengers in the early comics, but you're gonna
Hmm.
get a very old school in the bad kind of way where
Yeah,
like Janet the Wasp is kind of like the Avengers
I would.
housewife that
If you
just kind of
if you
makes them sandwiches and stuff.
Yeah, if you're gonna read Ant-Man, read Scott, because you're only gonna get
Yeah.
angry at Hank. There's no way around it. And also,
Yeah.
when I go to Disneyland this year, I am booked in for the Hank Pym restaurant,
Whoa. Do you get
where
giant food?
everything is big and small. So it's an all-you-can-eat
Oh,
buffet, and everything has an element of big and small to it.
I'm
So
so
it's like
jealous.
giant burgers, but tiny pizzas. Like,
Ah.
can't
That is
wait.
actually my dream, and I didn't know it existed until right now. So
And the desserts are so cute. Little Groots and little Captain America shields as
yeah,
macaroons, and because the French love a macaroon.
I can't wait to
Um,
see the videos.
I can't wait. It's the one thing I said because I'm going. Me and Antha going with my best friend and my godson, and I
Yeah,
was like, "Listen, we are happy to do whatever you want this holiday. We've got the kid with us. We're totally happy. Like it's all
yeah.
about him. But there's one place I want to eat at," and I was like, and I'm fine to do it by myself. I was like, no, no, it sounds really cool. I think like my godson's gonna absolutely love it.
Yeah,
We're trying to get him into Spider-Man
yeah.
at the moment. We're
Yeah.
trying our best, but he's not really
Yeah.
interested.
I was gonna say I'm not sure what to like suggest to a child because there's like I think there was a show that might be called The Amazing Spider-Man, which was
Yeah, he's been
like
watching.
around this time Disney show, like around 2010s. That was good.
She's had
Um,
she's had a few things on from Disney Plus that have got like
yeah.
Spider-Man-ish, like that are for kids, just to kind of see if it does.
Yes.
But he's Batman. Batman's his thing.
God.
Like he's got a load of
Batman
Batman
is pretty
toys.
great.
He's got a lot of Batman toys, and
He was my guy when I was a kid.
whenever I go over, he's like, "We play Batman,"
And you're like,
and
I
he
am the
he
knight.
knows Bane, and he knows Mister Freeze, and he's full man.
Sounds like me. And only my Mr. Freeze was all Schwarzenegger back then.
Oh, did you have an education there, my friend?
The freeze is coming. Oh, but
We did a
yeah,
great
that
review on that, by the way, on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel. If anyone wants to see it, it's one of
yes,
my favorites. I loved it.
where we gush over how great it is and how campy and silly.
Yep,
But yeah, that's Ant-Man.
that's
Another
Ant-Man.
silly movie that has a lot of heart, and a lot more depth than I think people give it credit for.
Hmm.
It's definitely worth giving another look.
Yeah.
If like me, you haven't really watched it since the cinema, like I don't think I have really.
I put it in one of my top fives, in if on all honesty, because
Nice.
I love a Marvel origin, and this is
Yes.
the blueprinted Marvel origin story, and it works, and it's good, and it's fun, and
Yeah.
it's something I'm happy to keep going back to.
I think that's why I like Thor so much because that's just like a really cool intro to a universe sort of story and a new
Different as
character.
well, but it
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
still has the same feel to it.
yeah,
I was talking
and
about
yeah,
Thor at
like
work today.
yeah, and they're both sort of trickier with the intros being like cold opens and stuff. But
Yeah,
yes, very much a fan of the origin formula because that's what superheroes are all about. We get number
exactly. We need to know
ones.
about them.
Yep. You got to be introduced to the world and how everything works because it's different for each super guy.
Exactly.
Whew. But yeah, God, yeah, we're almost at Thunderbolts in real life time as well, which is going to be cool.
Yes, and what was our
Marvel's
promise to
kicking
each
off.
other when we did this?
The what?
What did we promise each other when we started doing this? We would make sure any Marvel movie between now and then we
Yeah,
had to go to the cinema to see it.
we will. I don't have anyone
Cinema
else to go
corner.
with.
That's true. I'm so happy.
I can enable you on your cup buying quest.
Yeah, I'm sure Ant will appreciate that as well. No,
Well,
another one.
we stopped each other from getting popcorn buckets at least.
The price. Come on, Cineworld. Sort your pricing out. That was ridiculous.
Even though I did like the Falcon Wing Shield combo
I
that
loved it, but I'm not
they
paying £25 for it. Sorry.
had. Although, if Marvel wants to send us free free popcorn buckets, we will
Yeah, we're
gladly.
happy.
I will eat
I
every meal out of it on camera.
Oh, absolutely. I so want a angry John from Thunderbolts. Did you see his little cup thing? I want
You want
him.
the US agent
I want
cut.
US Agent.
Oh, man.
Absolutely.
He's a murderer though. He
I mean, at
smashed
this
someone's
point
head
in
in.
that team, who isn't?
Yeah, okay. But his was, yeah, I don't know. That show's an interesting one.
I'm looking forward to Thunderbolts. We're not that far away from it. May it comes out. I've already penciled Jake in for Jake and Lee, the cinema crew.
Got it. But yeah, and next time on the countdown to Doomsday, we're getting into Civil War, which is kind of a pseudo Avengers movie. It's
It's got
pretty
them in
much
it.
it's pretty much an Avengers light.
Yeah. I think with this one I would like to talk and I feel like people might be interested in the difference between comic to movie.
Yes, and we both read the entire run, so
The
we'll have some
entire
stuff to say.
run.
Yes,
Tie-ins and everything. Over
including
100 comic books.
yeah, including just what's Colossus up to from the X-Men.
I did it
Well,
all. That was
why is the Punisher like that? What's Spider-Man doing in his new Iron Man suit? All that business.
Spider-Man getting revealed to the world. Did you
Yeah,
ever read Civil War 2?
no, because people said it was bad.
It was. I started it thinking there was going to be, because I started writing, doing reviews for it, and I was like, this is going to be, no, it's not. It's shit.
If someone
I don't
tells me
care, Captain Marvel.
if I get a tip off that something's bad, I will usually listen and not waste my time on it.
I had to
uh,
for a certain point, and then I was like, I can't
yeah.
do this anymore. This is terrible.
I learned at some point that seeing for yourself isn't all it's cracked up to be a lot of the time.
No.
It just makes
Sometimes
you
you can trust what people say.
and trust
Other
what we
times,
say and
yeah,
listen to Nerdy Up North podcasts because we do a lot of them. I'm going to be back recording tomorrow for the Rumble cast.
I will
We're
be
doing
back
one of
on.
the worst wrestling pay-per-views of all time, which is Heroes of Wrestling from 1999. A
Um,
show so cursed that it tanked all of its future prospects and was never seen again.
wow, that's an achievement. I'm back recording on Thursday. I'm recording on Friday because
Yeah.
we are away this weekend.
Yeah.
So I am busy, but I don't care because this is the last recording I'm doing on location. I will be home.
Yes.
Don't have to see my big heat anymore.
Back in the graveyard, as you call it, your
Nope,
recording
I see it's
studio.
all changed. I have added a feature to my wall.
Very
Whether or not
exciting
it
feature.
works is a whole different ball game, but we'll see.
Yeah, hopefully it doesn't throw off like the camera light balance or anything.
I just don't know with it
Fingers
being,
crossed.
yeah, people might not be able to see us.
Because of like the glare.
But we'll see. We'll see how it works out. I have a smart lamp in there, so I can
Yeah,
change the color to whatever I want it to be
yeah.
anyway. But yeah,
Um
we're
oh
all busy here at Nerdy Up North.
One thing I did forget though, we do have a Discord.
Yes,
And we
please.
did get one comment about Ant-Man. It's apparently not very popular with people we know.
I
From
mean, you also
Jill,
put it out earlier today, so
the park ranger, who said, "I enjoy the Ant-Man movies, but my favorite part is Michael Penis's Lewis version of the rumor mill. The way his stories played out with all the characters and talking in his voice and his delivery is just everything to her in those scenes." And we agree.
we do.
It's one of the most like endearing side characters we've had for a time.
Yeah.
And it's impressive that he does that with such little screen time. And Beth was also asking if you'd like to recast Ant-Man as anyone, and I
No.
think Rick Moranis is the only other person who could have done it.
If I remember reading rightly, we wanted him to do a cameo in this,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
obviously he quitted. He quit acting.
He did because he's a
And this,
very nice man.
he's a very lovely man, but I think he is coming out of retirement. If the rumors are true about the whole new Honey I Shrunk the Kids TV show,
Yeah, I don't
but
know. I feel like it would be better to put him in Doomsday.
I
Make
don't
a
want to.
shrinking
I don't want
joke.
to. I don't want to recast Ant-Man, either one, Hank or Scott. I
Nah,
feel like
never
we've
thought
got
about it once. No.
no, me neither. I feel like we've got the right people for the right part.
Yeah.
But
No,
yeah,
wait, actually, the blown up baby from Honey I Shrunk the Kids 3, they can, yeah.
put him in the Ant-Man suit.
Can we do those movies for the Sunday show? The month of Honey I Shrunk the
Honey, I Shrunk
whatever.
the Kids.
Honey I Shrunk the podcast.
That would be fun.
Yeah. But
In the
yeah,
wrong.
so this has been us. Please follow us, enjoy the audio version. We will talk in your ears
We will, but
with our
remember,
voices.
for all we are on the Nerdy Up North YouTube channel, and please remember to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode. You will need to search Countdown to Doomsday from anywhere you get your podcast from in order to find us. We are not, for all on YouTube, we're under the same umbrella as Nerdy Up North. We are not when it comes to audio. So if you want to find us, I know this is very long-winded, but I need to explain it,
It's
otherwise
okay.
you'll not find us.
We have too many podcasts to put in one feed. Media conglomerates that we are.
I do 3.
Yeah.
You
Just
do.
2. Just 2. But I have a a less, not a weekly schedule. I have a life. Contrary to popular belief. But yeah, that's been Jake and Sammy on the Countdown to Doomsday. So next time, Civil War, which for me gets a big old let's fucking go. But I'm gonna shrink again. I'm going subatomic. You can't stop me.
Bye.
Bye.
Stay nerdy.